Hi, good evening, everyone. A very warm welcome to the fourth episode of Raists, Mulakaat. I'm sure all of you are as eager to listen to our special guest today as I am. And in fact, I think it's a rare opportunity that, we get to have them in the same frame at the same time, dedicated only for us. And in fact, to top it, for an hour or kind of maybe more. So incidentally, both the guests today happen to be from 1985 batch. So let me not stand between you and them, and over to all of you, 1985, the stage is all yours.
Hi, thank you, Sonam. So a trip to nostalgia, they say it's good for the spirit. और वैसे भी बोलते हैं ना, old is gold. Old is still the best. Be it old wine, old books, old tunes, old jeans, old times, and above all, old friends. So there cannot be anything more refreshing and exciting than connecting with our old school friends. Now, when we all head back to meet, it doesn't matter whether we were a class clown or we were a bookworm or we were the most popular person. It's just that we want to connect and relive our past. And what binds us together is this Rai spirit, is this Rai essence. So now coming to the two special guests of 1985 batch. One is a great scholar and a consistent achiever. The other a Mast Malang, who became a master of many scholars. One almost touching the pine tree, the other not so tall, but the achievements are high. Both are debaters and they excel in public speaking. Both joined in 1979, have cute dimples, and both represent the Rai aura. So without wasting much time, lovely to have with us today Sudhanshu Vats, who has been an achiever all through his academic career. A class 10th topper, and if that was not enough, he secured 17th position in the country itself. A class 12th topper, head boy of the school, receiver of the governor's gold medal. You name an achievement, a cricketer, and he was there with it. So an electrical engineer from REC Kurukshetra and MBA from IIM Ahmedabad. He was the topper again in these prestigious institutions. From copying his notes to copying his answers in the exam, he never stopped us. A genial chap. He was a favorite of all his teachers and school. And we were and still are always known as Sudhanshu's batchmates. He's passionate about giving and running. He still runs a 4-hour marathon. Can you believe it? A no mean task, considering that we all are in our 50s. And like the beautiful ad he conceived while heading the Viacom 18 media, kuch daag achhe hain. I would say Sudhanshu, 85 batch mein aap bahut achhe hain.
Thanks, Rupa. My pranam to all the old teachers who are there and who may be live today. I have known Kapoor for almost about 40 plus years now. And I'll give a very, very brief introduction on Kapoor. Kapoor joined Soma House in 1979 and was both the house captain and the school games captain. And there was no incident, कोई भी ऐसा incident नहीं था पीटने या पिटने का जिसमें Kapoor directly involved ना हो. I personally, and in fact our class personally remembers him for two distinct qualities. One is that his audacity to set the highest possible goals. And second was his ability to crack impromptu jokes. We should expect one of these jokes today. He certainly took it upon himself to be a good athlete in class 12th, not very late in life. He dominated the IPSC, won a medal at nationals, represented India in the SAF games, and he mentored later one of the star athletes of India at both the Sydney at the Asian Games. On a side note, he dated one of India's top-ranked women tennis players for almost 2 years. He also had a school crush, whom I'm sure somebody will have a question to ask him about. He has a master's degree in Harvard, and he's known to be a big-hearted, generously donating person to the charities. And if you ever happen to be in New York, you can rely upon him to pick you up from the airport and feed you 6,000 calories per day. No wonder countless Raists who visit New York every year make a pit stop at his home, which 85 batch has decided to name as a Raist Dharamshala. With that, I now invite upon Sudhanshu and Kapoor to take the proceedings ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Vikas. Thank you, Rupa. But सबसे पहले मैं बता दूं कि ब्याह के सारे गीत सच्चे ना होते. So जो उसने मेरे बारे में बोला उसमें आधी झूठ है और सुधांशु के बारे में तो सारी झूठ है.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, friends. All my Rice friends, and a very, very special good evening to our 85 batch Rice friends. I can see a lot of you have dialed in. Kapoor, lovely to see you. Long time no see. You know,
24 hours probably, yeah.
It's also a privilege, you know, while they have introduced, let me start by saying a few words about my very dear friend, my best friend, Kapoor Singh. Outstanding athlete, India Blazer, actor and model, many of you may not know, civil engineer, of course we did engineering together, golf instructor, Harvard alum, education expert, self-made man, Coach K as they call him nowadays, Coach K, entrepreneur, father of true brilliant kids. If I have to use a phrase to describe Kapoor Singh, I would say Kapoor is a person who charts his own paths. And finally, a friend par excellence. Kapoor, it's a delight. We've done some of these, both of us have done these chat shows, but to be able to have the privilege to talk to your best friend is both a privilege and a bit of a, you know, there are some butterflies in the stomach. So over to you, Kapoor. Let me start off. Let me kick off.
No, but let me also tell people how I feel about you. So obviously, you know, I've learned so much from you, picked up so many great habits from you, and finally, after knowing you for 40 years, I've started to talk like you, like intelligently, right? Because probably the most as Rupa said, you know, Rupa, I'll talk to you later on. But sometimes I've fooled myself in believing that I might be even better than you. You know why? वो एक चुटकुला ना कि वो एक रेडी वाला था, केले की रेडी वाला था, कहता है यार ये जेफ बेजोस की जितनी दौलत मेरे को मिल जाए तो दुनिया का सबसे अमीर आदमी हो जाऊं. कहता सबसे अमीर कैसे, उसके बराबर तो होगा, पहले मेरे पास केले की रेडी भी तो है, तो मेरा वो हाल है मेरा तो. ठीक है. And in fact, there is a our senior Pammi Kapoor, Parminder Walia, she was the band leader, I think 1980 batch. So on the right WhatsApp group, Golf Curricular group, which I would talk about, it's a hilarious group. So in that group, she said we look like brothers. And I kind of took offense to that because I'm 6'1" and you are 4'11". We can't be brothers.
4'11" तो ज़्यादा हो गया, but yeah, close to that maybe.
So दो घटा ले 4'9". But मैं कह रहा हूँ कि there's one habit that I've learned from you, Sudhanshu, I probably have not mentioned to you before. So remember college में, rec में, NIT में, वो across the room, you know, study bench, वो the desk होता था, right?
Yeah.
There used to be a dictionary on that bench 24/7, and that belonged to you because I never bought. In fact, people might not know that 4 साल की engineering में, I'm the only engineer from NIT Kurukshetra who never ever bought a single book, and I take pride in it. So दोस्तों ने लेकर पढ़ लिया, फिर भी first class में pass हो गए, right? But I remember that I learned that habit from you, using the dictionary. उसके बाद जो ऐसी habit पड़ गई कि when I came to the US, even when I was driving a car, I used to listen to the radio, and if I come across a word that I do not know, I'll stop my car. I would have a pen and pencil in my car, a paper, and I write down and go back home and check the dictionary. And thank God, जब से ये smartphone आए, you will not believe that dictionary is the first app on my phone. This is how passionate about language and learning, and this all goes to you. Thanks, Sudhanshu.
Thank you. So before we start once more, actually, after our second introduction, let me also congratulate and thank Sonam Soni for starting this initiative. Brilliant initiative, Sonam. I think, Raists Mulakaat, and thank you for giving us the chance, I think. And also a big thank you to our dear friends Rupa and Vikas for being charitable to us, as Kapoor said. And I would say half of what you said maybe is correct. He said none of it is correct. Kapoor, शुरू करते हैं तो एक बात बता तू, where did you learn about rye? तो तेरी राई से पहले की भी कहानी, मतलब राई का नाम कहाँ से आया, कहाँ, मतलब how did you learn?
The first thing is that my village or Sarakala is not too far from Rai. So if you go via Sonipat is 13 kilometers. My village is another 4 kilometers on Rohtak Kharkhoda road. But if you take the shortcuts, remember Rai se jab wo adde ke liye nikal Rai se nikalte the aur GT road cross karke, if you keep going at that road, it's a much shorter path. So it takes only about, I think, only 9 kilometers. The jo Jindal University, yeah, that's only about halfway from my village, you know, either side, Rai school and my village. So I was close. So Rai was a popular school in my village and in any way. And then, but there was someone, our neighbor, who was applying to Rai. My dad found out and they said, well, beta tera bhi bhar dete hain, form the form bhar diya, or then I, you know, tukka lag gaya. But the fondest memory I have is because obviously we didn't have a car, we don't have a motorcycle. So my dad, this is going to be crazy. So my dad, साइकिल पे लेके गांव से देन छोटे रूट से राई में टेस्ट देने के लिए आना, like now that was the story basically. So I remember those days.
I know लेकिन तुझे आना था तो इसलिए, and I think, you know, and our parents have played a great role, Kapoor, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you know, we call you're a prince of Harsana Kala, who's now the prince of Marlborough. So
yeah, you wouldn't believe Harsana Kala has become so famous. College maybe, you know, Adi mere friends, they just know me. They used to call me Harsana Kala. I said, as a care, Harsana Kala, why is Harsana Kala so famous? So maybe it is there's a reason. But tell us about you. How did you find about Rai?
So मेरी कहानी थोड़ी सी अलग है. Basically क्या था, I was so my father said कि ये नया स्कूल खुला है हरियाणा में और मेरे बेटे को इस स्कूल में जाना चाहिए, बहुत बढ़िया स्कूल है. तो I was actually at that point in time in a place called Veerbhadra between Rishikesh and Haridwar. So my father used to work for Indian Drugs and Pharmaceuticals Limited, IDPL, in those days. So I would go to the school there. I was going to the Kendriya Vidyalaya there. और मुझे याद है कपूर, मेरे एक टीचर थे अब्बास सर. तो उन्होंने कहा मेरे फादर को कि आप क्या सोचते हैं शर्मा जी, अस्तबल बदलने से घोड़ा बदल जाएगा? तो ये this, but I must say,
uncle should have said one thing कि घोड़ा बदलने की जरूरत नहीं, अस्तबल बदलने की जरूरत है. ये घोड़ा जाने से वो अस्तबल बदल जाएगा. That अस्तबल change, yeah.
No, I think Rai, as I'm saying, you know, it's an outstanding अस्तबल, an outstanding institution. जब घोड़ा बदलने की बात छोड़ो, यहाँ तो गधों को घोड़ा बना दिया यार. So I think, you know, so it's an outstanding institution, and that's what is the quality of the institution. कपूर, उसी से बता यार, पहली मेमोरी क्या है KNS की? You know, जब हम आए कमला ने class 7 में.
Yeah, quite a few, but I would say there's one memory which is funny now, but it was really bad at that time. So, you know, as I said, कि मेरे father मेरे को साइकिल पे बिठा के कैरियर पे पीछे बिठा के लेके आते थे टेस्ट दिलाने के लिए, फिर मेडिकल के लिए. There were multiple trips, right? And then जब admission हो गया तो छोड़ने के लिए आए तो he obviously rented a car because सामान वो संदूक संदाक खूब सारा सामान था, right? So the very first parents' day, I was naive enough to believe कि डैडी फिर से कार में आएंगे, and then he came on a bike. तो मैंने सबको बता रखा था मेरे फादर तो धोली कार में आएंगे हमारी, right? तो boasting type, and then Dinesh Huda and Rohtas Dalal, they teased me for almost years. Oh, तेरी धोली कार कितने, वो तो साइकिल पे आए थे. So that was so funny. That time it hurt so much, but then I joke with them कि, you know, how life had changed.
No, also याद है, लेकिन एक चीज मेरे को याद आ गई, जब जो लोग आते थे हर एक मतलब ट्रिप से, तो हम खासतौर से सोमा हाउस में, मेरे ख्याल से सारे हाउसेज में बड़े हॉल में थे, हम सारे इकट्ठे थे. तो जैसे ही जो खाना आता था, और उस दिन मतलब बेसिकली एवरीबडी यूज्ड टू लुक फॉरवर्ड कि कौन किसके घर से क्या आया है, और how we would share that, and basically that was one of the, you know, you would really look forward to it.
One good thing about our batch was because we were so, I mean, a lot of times when you go into a school where you are the junior most batch and see that aapko agar MNSS mein chale gaye to you are the junior most, right? But we were lucky in a sense that when we joined, that was the only batch I think in Rai history that when we joined, we were put in KNS for 1 year. So we joined and we certainly were the senior most people. So we had that advantage of being protected from the senior school, right? Because otherwise, you know, it's intimidating when you go there and you find people who already are, set in their ways and they know the school well. So it was much easier for us.
No, I agree. I think I also want to, Kapoor, at this stage, tell all the people, all our audience, virtual audience, as we say, all our friends, the chats are open. Please put in your questions on Facebook chat or on Zoom chat. While Kapoor and I are talking to each other, we would definitely like to hear from you. Feel free to ask questions and we will try and respond to as many as we can. So basically, chat's open hai. Chat पे लिखना शुरू कर दो यार. I think so basically, we would be कपूर. लेकिन जब KNS में तो हम सीनियर मोस्ट थे, उसके बाद पहुंच गए MNSS में 8th क्लास में, और मेरे ख्याल से हमारे जो सीनियर थे वो थोड़े से, I think ours was the first experiment where 7th class was put in KNS. तो उनको 2 साल से थोड़ी खुड़क थी कि अब कहाँ ये तो हमारे इनको रैक करने के लिए कोई जूनियर्स आए नहीं, तो फिर उसकी कोई कहानी सुना यार.
I have one experience you wouldn't believe that, because there are two factors. One is obviously I came from a Hindi medium school. The other because I'm to athletics wale bande the. So for me, people who played cricket were gods. They were Don Bradman, they were Sunil Gavaskar. So aisa lagta tha cricket wale to like pata nahi bhagwan hai. And I remember one incident from Arvinder Dalal. He's in our Raists, golf group also. He was a star cricketer, right? And he was in Soma House. I think he transferred from Varuna to Soma because Gabbar, he was a batch senior to him, was brother. So, those time house changes, right? So I remember milk break mein baitha hua tha, and, Arvinder came, and I think Soma House lost a match. And he was so furious. And वैसे भी उसकी, he had such intimidation in his eyes. I used to think, oh my God, मैं बच के निकलूंगी, because I was so scared. एक तो उसकी आंखें ऐसी थी अरविंदर के. Now he's such a funny guy on our golf group. Like he's the, उसको बोलते हैं सुरा छोड़ देते हैं, एक साथ सुरा छोड़ेगा, like 20 मिनट तक हंसते रहो. But at that time I was so intimidated. हम एक तो मैच हार के आए, उसकी आंखें इतनी गुस्से वाले, एक सीनियर है. So that's one memory I have from early ride days.
Yeah, मेरे को अरविंदर दलाल से मुझे याद आ गया यार. I used to really admire him. तेरे को पता है मैं क्रिकेट खेलता था उस टाइम पे. मैं क्रिकेट खेलता था, तू दौड़ता था, और अब मैं दौड़ता हूँ और तू गोल्फ खेलता है. So that's a separate thing. But I think the point is, Arvinder Dalal, we played a match in Patiala with the Adrian Public School Patiala. उस टाइम I think ये सब लोग, ये जो अपना नवजोत सिंह सिद्धू पता नहीं वो टीम में था या पासी करके एक और था बहुत. तो मैं कीपर होता था, तो मैंने एक कैच ड्रॉप कर दिया यार, और उस बंदे ने he ended up making 100 out whatever, a 70 or 100, a big score after that. And I remember Arvinder, और I couldn't face him only as my captain. But I think those days were absolutely amazing.
Yeah, one more thing before we move on to MNSS, I think we can go back to KNS a little bit, because I remember we had 3 teachers who joined us in KNS with us, same in 1979. So we had a very special bond with all 3 teachers. Obviously, Malevar sir, who was a science teacher, physics teacher, so he joined in the same year. He taught physics or science to all of us. I don't think there was separate physics, chemistry, bio, but science teacher, right? And then Vicky Verma sir, he taught math to all 3 sections. And there was one third person who's really, really special. And then, we've been constant touch with all 3 teachers. And in fact, Malevar sir he has attended, I think, many our batch get-togethers in Gurgaon with our batch. So he's very special. So I wish we could invite all 3 of them on this platform, but we can blame that on Sony. She allowed only one, right?
Yeah, so, Kapoor, I think you are right. Malivar sir has been really in touch, and Vicky Verma sir se bhi I was in touch. But I think the person I want to talk about now, Kapoor.
But 8 minutes before I give you the chance, I just want to clarify things, because although I'm giving you this privilege of inviting that person for one reason, because नहीं तो नाराज हो जाएगी, मेरे favorite student ने मेरे को introduce नहीं किया. So over to you.
Kapoor, that is not fair. But having said that, it is indeed my privilege actually at this point in time to invite someone which all of us in 85 batch for sure, and I'm sure there are many more Raists who treat her as true guru. She is a teacher par excellence. But more importantly, she was a friend, a confidant, a sister, a mother to all of us in the batch and to many more Raists. She taught valuable life lessons to us, and I will talk about one of them very, very quickly. I think, you know, we were all young kids and we had gone down to swim in the swimming pool. And show off का तो जमाना, show off का तो हमेशा रहता ही था. तो अपना एक friend होता था, याद है तेरे को, Subodh. I think he's
Subodh Kaushik.
Subodh Kaushik. So Subodh Kaushik deep end में जाके खुद basically उसने दम दिखा दिया. He dared.
I remember that. And ma'am saved him. Yeah.
And ma'am just jumped and saved her. Saved him.
We remember. All of us remember that.
That day, I think that is what is called a hero. To me, you know, that is the act which ma'am did was to me an act of a hero. And that helped, basically, you know, to me, that from that day onward, ma'am, otherwise as well, has been my role model. Raists, ladies and gentlemen, and especially my friends from 85 batch, it is my privilege to introduce Mrs. Vineeta Nagarkar, my role model. Ma'am, we would like to see you on the screen now. And I'm sure a role model for many of us. I think she's helped realize all of us our potential and the joy she gets as we do well, the way she's connected to all of us. Her very recent post on Facebook to Mrinalini is a testament to what a teacher, what a person, what a human being. Ma'am, basically, we take a bow, and it's indeed our pleasure to welcome you and thank you for personally visiting me recently at my home as well. It's been my privilege. Thank you, ma'am, and I'm absolutely delighted that along with Kapoor, you're also there on this chat. Welcome, very, very warm welcome to you.
थोड़ी सी सब्जी मने मारन दे यार. So, ma'am, you know, I love you and I admire you as much as he does, but we, you know it, and I think I'm smarter than him, but you never let me, believe that. But, Sudhanshu, of course, he's the top student. He was the know-it-all, smarty pants, genius. We all know that, right? So, and I fell on the other side of the spectrum. Ki jo na mast malang as Rupa. This will haunt you for a long time, Rupa. You called me mast malang, but I probably will. I'm liking it. So I think from the, I arrived in Rai in, the 1979, summer of 1979, feeling on top of the world, but my world turned upside down within 2 weeks. So let me narrate a story, a very short story. We want ma'am to talk. So remember when we admission hote the, they were based on, aapka jo entrance test mein jaisa kiya hai, so somehow I did pretty well in the entrance test. But within the 2 weeks, they realized कि इसको तो अंग्रेजी तो आती नहीं है. So they transferred me to C-section की जो, the most बच्चे हिंदी medium से आए थे. And then C-section में ma'am was teaching us not only English, but social studies also. But there was social study का जब number आया, जब English खत्म हुई. So she taught us English in both those sections, both those classes, English as well as social studies. So then it seems that I had a mother who could speak English, and that's Ma'am Nagarkar. So over to you, Ma'am
Nagarkar. Heartfelt thanks to all of you. And I'll say that, first of all, there was this really big open love affair going on in Rai from 79 to 83. It was no secret. And it's a part of Rai legend, the way I put it now. I wouldn't have been more filled with pride had I been called into Rashtrapati Bhavan to take some award than I am today. I think this is far more valuable to me than any other award, reward, recognition that I would ever get in my life. And I'm so, so grateful to all of you kids from Rai. And especially to this class of mine, which I just totally adopted the way I walked into that class that day. I saw their faces, and like I said on my Facebook page, there was so much of love between all of us in class 7A, class 7C. There were two extremes. And I think that today is the best Guru Vandana I could ever get. And I think this is also a moment of Guru Vandana from me to my Gurus, because I didn't grow up in a vacuum. And if I could give you something, it was just paying forward for what I had got in my life. I go back to my parents, like all of us do, and my dad for having taught me how to see the best in people and to always get into another person's shoes and see it from his point of view. I go back to a teacher in class 2 who baked a cake with us. And in the 50s, a cake was something so unique in a Hindu home that it was like, thinking of going to the moon or actually being transported to the moon. That is what prompted me into giving you guys the joys of, just an alfresco class on the grass, or looking at the constellations and pointing out little things to you, or doing things impromptu, which have kind of found their ways in your memory. And when I came to Rai, it was my first job. I was fresh from the field of having all my education and my gurus very close to me in my life. I was not even 30. And I remember in my 20s, when all of us are thinking of, what exactly we should be doing, because some part of our education is behind us, I was toying with the idea of joining the IAS or doing something different, because I was a student of language. And today I'm really, really grateful for this really outstanding teacher I had who'd done his PhD from Harvard. I didn't know the value of Harvard then, very honestly, to tell you, even though I was in my master's class in English. That is how ignorant we were of the United States at that time. And he said, I don't think you'll do very well in the bureaucracy. That's not the line for you. Maybe you should rethink. And he pointed out to me that I was always very passionate about the role of education in social change. And that was one of the reasons why I wanted to join the bureaucracy, because I wanted to see social change. And he said, maybe you'd make a good teacher. And I was really offended, because, those days being a teacher meant that you were really not fit for anything else. People who didn't do anything really well became teachers. And I had that at the back of my mind, but I knew that education really held the key to all the changes that we wanted to see in the world around us. I had that commitment in my mind when I joined the Central Institute of English and Foreign Languages in Hyderabad, which was the premier institute for the teaching of English in India. And that actually trained me to train teachers to teach English. But by the time I reached the end of that career path, not career path so much to say as that my training, I started realizing that the greatest value to teaching, and particularly teaching English, lay at the school level. Because if you can teach English well at the school level, you don't need to train teachers to teach remedial English in colleges. And that is what I had in my heart, because I said that is where English has to be taught. So my master's class teacher had told me that I had to create at least one thinking, feeling person in the class that sat before me. And if I created one thinking, feeling person in that class, I had done a great job. And the teacher who taught me in my methodology class when I was doing my MLit at the CIEFL, in his final lecture, he was retiring that time, he came and he said, oh, you just love your children. If you love your children, everything will fall into place. Now, this seemed really silly to, those of us who are in our 20s, and you have this old professor saying, oh, just love your children. How does that translate into methods? How does that translate into materials that you're dealing with? How does that translate into children with diverse language abilities? That really was no answer. It wasn't really satisfactory to us. But these were somewhere like mantras that had registered in my brain. And when I came to Rai and I had the 79 batch, your 85 batch in front of me, I was determined to make at least one thinking, feeling person and to love the kids that I saw in front of me. I didn't know that it would translate to what I see today in front of me. And like I said, you know, it's all just a whole lot of dominoes that just kept knocking one into the other, one into the other. I remember that probably when you were in class 7 and 8, you got fed up of me saying, think what the answer should be. Think what the word should be. Think what you can give, what this situation really demands. And there was no right and there was no wrong, because no matter how you interpreted the answer, I gave you marks because I wanted you to think. And I wanted in every situation to see how you would feel. And it was just this love which translated into all that I taught. I remember walking into class 7C, and I had children like Kapoor Singh, Lokesh Singh, Sunita Daya, standing up in class. I think my first or second class with them, and saying, "Ma'am, हम तो ये बोल ही नहीं सकते. हमने ये कभी सुनी ही नहीं. हम ये कैसी भाषा बोलेंगे? ये कैसी भाषा आप बोल रहे हो?" And I remember their cheers. And on the other end, I had Sudhanshu Vats, and I had Anita Yadav, and I had Sunita Kunnath, and Mridalini, and Harpreet, and Ramesh. All of them totally ready to take off with their language skills. So it was a really big, a very, very big challenge. I knew that I just had to keep motivating these little kids who were crying. I had to make them want to love learning English. And I struggled. Believe me, I struggled way more for your class, Kapoor Singh, than I did for Sudhanshu's.
I totally relate to that. So I'm going to, you know, in the last few minutes you've been talking, I've been thinking, so just to prove that you give me 100 marks now, I've been thinking how I should say thank you to you or say and goodbye to you for, you know, this temporary goodbye. So I know I owe so much to you. All of my English is owed to you, but I would like to say thank you with a very deep meaning, Haryanvi talk. So I hope you will excuse me for that. So
Kapoor, you have to allow me one question before.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
Actually, maybe two.
Two favorite student, two
No, ma'am. One question is actually I'll take two. I'll ask two. One on my behalf and one on Kapoor. Kapoor को तो मैंने कहा मैं ही पूछ लेता हूँ.
Question मेरे को भेज दे, मैं भी पूछ लूँ, मेरे नंबर लग जाएगा थोड़े से.
लेकिन ma'am, the first one is actually which you talked about 7A and 7C, and I think you know the difference. First of all, thank you, ma'am. I think abhi koi difference nahi raha. I think the point is many of those kids, and I think Kapoor Singh himself is a coach and a mentor, and I think he can beat many people, and he can perhaps teach many British Queen's English now. So you know, what is it that went through your mind in tackling this, and how did you make this magic happen? To me, it is magic actually. You know, so therefore, some of the people who are there. So I think, you know, I just wanted to, you know, to understand your feelings at that point in time. So that's first question. And second, in today's day and age, if there is a message you wanted to send on education, particularly in India, and some of the challenges of disparity and of people coming from different backgrounds, I think the talent is enormous, but I think their backgrounds are different. So what would be your message there? So those two questions. One is on the feeling and one is your message. And then Kapoor, of course, will come in. Kapoor, sorry for butting in on this one.
Okay, so let me answer your two questions, and thank you for giving me that lead to answer those two questions. I think, like I said, you know, that this question, this mantra that I have to love my students, really, really worked. And I really wish that people who take to teaching would really love their students. It may sound cliched, but it's not as easy as it can seem for people who are forced into this profession out of circumstance. Join teaching because you love people. Join teaching because you love children. Join teaching because you have to understand how powerful a tool it is, not just for you, but for generations to come. Literally for generations to come. I have shared this quote with Mrinalini on one occasion, and I still have it on my fridge, that 100 years from now, it will not matter what kind of house I lived in, or what kind of car I drove, or how much money I had in the bank. But the world may be a different place because I made a change in a child's life. And I think that if you understand the value of that and the value of education, you do everything because you love your kids. And keeping that in mind, you know, I went to the extent of getting books from home. I made them read little jokes from Reader's Digest. And finally, you'd not believe it, I found that what really got their minds into wanting to read this language, of all things, was the Guinness Book of World Records. Because here was material that really engaged their minds. There were small bits of information, and even if there were words that they didn't really understand, here was something that held their interest, wanting to learn this language, which could open this world out to them. So I think that really held the key to dealing with this really big challenge. And I really think it paid off because, you know, we see Kapoor Singh today, but before this, I saw Lokesh Singh having just graduated out of NDA and telling me on the day of his passing out parade, ma'am, I want to come to your house and I need to come and discuss the morality of Scarlett O'Hara from Gone with the Wind. You know, he could have dropped me down with a feather because I never in my life thought that this boy Lokesh, who stood up in class and was in tears about this horrendous language I was teaching him, could in around 8 years' time be telling me that I want to discuss the morality.
Lokesh is a philosopher. He's a very well-read person. Lokesh is amazing.
Yes.
I talked to him on the phone,
So,
and he's a philosopher, really.
And to think that he started from ABC in class 7 was really, really remarkable. And I think motivation really helped the key. And because I could use the right materials, and I would say I would give tremendous thanks to Mr. Kate and Mr. Bhardwaj and Ma'am Rao for allowing me this liberty as a teacher to go into class and do things which I thought were really right for my kids. And I'm grateful that, you know, that there were teachers like Ma'am Bhardwaj and Ma'am Prabha who had given a foundation to kids who came into class 7 from KNS when they came into school knowing nothing. And I'd say to, you know, your question about what I would say to teachers who are there today in this really diverse, very, very, very divisive kind of an atmosphere all over the world, where people are trying to discriminate. And, you know, as teachers, you feel, I see posts all the time. What's happening to these kids? They have no respect. They don't care for education. I really feel the fault lies with us who are the adults, who are not able to see the world from their lens. We see it from a lens when we were kids. And the world has changed so much. And we are so absorbed in our own lives that we really don't have time for the children, which is a real tragedy. And we see that tragedy translated into our everyday lives, into our interactions with kids. If we were to give time to kids, like Kapoor Singh has homeschooled his kids, gave time from his life, restructured his own life to see that the 2 children who were his prime responsibility, nobody else can take that on as easily as him and his wife, I think education would be really, really different. I'm not saying that you can homeschool everyone, but the fact that you have to start seeing kids as kids, you have to start seeing their dilemmas appreciating that, looking at the tools that they have for educating even themselves, because you are not the only givers of knowledge anymore. They just need to have a little phone or a little gadget which is going to give them all the knowledge that they need. So it is how you have to teach them how to become good self-learners. And I think that that is such a powerful tool to realize that, it's not your ego which needs to be boosted by going in front of a class and, putting yourself into that role of knowledge giver. There are lots and lots of sources from which knowledge is available. Can you become a true teacher in creating a true lifelong learner? Because if you can do that, then I think you have done the best teacher's role in your life. Can you take yourself back from that?
Thank you, ma'am.
And then, just keeping a little bit lighter, I know when we listen to you, we become emotional because you've been so connected with our batch. So you're talking of Prabha ma'am, right? Prabha Kishore ma'am and Lalit Kishore sir, because they're so active on Facebook. I see him like, he's a philosopher too, like the pictures he posts, the kind of haikus he writes and, the things he does. But talking of Prabha Kishore ma'am, so she was also, in KNS at that time. So she directed a play in 7th grade in मेरी life में हमको ये नहीं पता play क्या होता है. So play में we were one of those people जो कमंडल लेके घूम रहे पीछे पीछे कोई dialogue तो था ही नहीं. So Ishwar he came from KNS, the star swimmer from our batch. So Ishwar I think was the lead role. So we practiced for 2 months, 3 months. पता नहीं कितने दिन चलती थी practice. On the day of the play, so there was some similarity between the opening scene of the play and the closing scene of the play. और ईश्वर ने जो ओपनिंग सीन में क्लोजिंग सीन के डायलॉग बोल दिए. अबड़ तबड़ मच गई. We had to start over. ये क्या हो गया? Because nobody had experience. So that's such a funny incident that we remember. We make fun of each other, in those kind of things. So before, again, as I said, ma'am, we owe so much to you. But being a Haryanvi, so I'm going to end this on a Haryanvi joke. So there are two things, because this joke has commented on two things. One is how much people in Haryana, they love their teachers, they put responsibility, they expect a lot from them. But in your case, don't take it in the other way, because you are on the other extreme, right? So this is about a guy. So मैं गांव में एक मास्टर देखा कि जो उसका एक पुराना स्टूडेंट जो बहुत तंग करा करता स्कूल में, उसने वो जोटा बोगी लिए जाता. I'm sure ma'am won't get it. So
I do.
कि आज अच्छा मौका मिला है इसके दौड़ने की मैं टांग खींची, इसने मेरी बड़ी धोती पाड़ी है जो है ना स्कूल में. तो कहता अरे दौड़े तू जोटा बोगी चलाओ है. तो दौड़ा छूटते बोले अरे मास्टर तेरे पढ़ाई और के जा चलाओगे. That shows कि they just leave their kids to the teacher and then say कि teacher करता है सो कुछ कर देगा. When I came to Rai, the biggest thing or biggest the misconception about Rai was because my parents didn't go to college. They, my father finished only 10th grade. So हमारे गांव में हमारे फैमिली में ये misconception था कि Rai में अगर चला गया तो नौकरी दे के निकालेंगे वहां से. तो मैं तो पहले 2 साल ये कंफ्यूज रहता नहीं नौकरी कब मिलेगी मुझे. 7वीं 8वीं 10वीं मिलेगी नौकरी कब मिलेगी. Then I realized कि अंग्रेजी सीखनी पड़ेगी तब नौकरी मिलेगी. So I thank you on behalf of Sudhanshu and all 85 batch. Thank you so much, ma'am. We love you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. And on Kapoor's joke, I think you've allowed us to soar, and many of us fly, and all of us are flying in our own way. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Thank you for being the wind beneath our wings.
As I was saying, Sudhanshu, it's the opposite side because दोड़ा जोटा बगी नहीं चला, दोड़ा तो जो है जा चला रहा है. हमारे ग्रुप में दुनिया भर के दोड़े हैं. Ravi flies planes. You live on planes. Mrinalini lives on planes. There are so many of these people who live this high flying life. So that's thousands of miles away from that Jota Boogie kind of thing.
Kapoor, तू एक कहानी अब इसके बाद एक ये बता यार कि तू ये when we were in college and basically मेरे को याद है तू हर रोज almost 6 days a week for sure. You used to walk to the stadium from REC Kurukshetra to the university stadium. I think it was a 3 kilometer walk, maybe, I don't know, 2 kilometer, 3 kilometer walk and almost, and day in, day out, I'm saying, And that journey and the journey as an athlete in college days, and therefore, and then you stayed back in University College Kurukshetra to, so a little bit up to everyone about your dreams then and what all you did at that point in time.
You know, people say, you know, a person with a new idea is a fool or a crank until the idea succeeds. So, you know, obviously after, you know, apne hostel se or university stadium jana, it was a long walk. And I had this huge infatuation with athletics. I really wanted to become an Olympian athlete. I really did not care about academics. To me, you know, schooling is, you know, I have this philosophy that don't let schooling interfere with your education. And for me, education was becoming self-independent, becoming really confident, doing what you love. So education is totally different for me.
And your passion for athletics is known. अब मेरे को तूने रनर बना दिया एक पहली चीज. और second पे याद है आनंद भी है अभी आनंद है यहाँ पे और राजेश मोहन मेहरा पता नहीं है या नहीं है. हम आरसी कुरुक्षेत्र में basically videos hire करते थे. लोग तो फिल्मों के लिए करते थे और you know different colors of films as you know all of you. But the point is हम लाते थे for athletics recordings of those shows. जब तक वो याद है वो हम देखते थे Olympics and Asian Games and उन सब चीजों के लिए तो हमें अच्छे we remember your passion fully actually.
Yeah, but the thing is, you know, I wasn't alone. In fact, Anand Swarup, who was our, you know, batchmate and of course from Rai, and then
another great runner.
And Kurukshetra also. In fact, Anand was our roommate for the first 2-3 years in college, and until we, you know, then we chote room ho gaye, right? So Anand was a great athlete also. In fact, he represented inter-university with me multiple times, and we would meet Satyavrat from Delhi University at the you know, the university games. So, and of course, we had Rajesh Mohan who played hockey, great hockey. He continued through college. But the thing I'm saying is that the passion jo tha na, because I always thought ki live life on your own terms. Because for me, education meant totally different. I did well, reasonably well in engineering college, finished in 4 years. But at the same time, I stayed back for 1 more year. And I took admission in University College Kurukshetra. People were confused, kiske kya ho gaya, pagal ho gaya kya? Because I needed to play World University Games. So I stayed back as a student of University College Kurukshetra after having an engineering degree. And then 1989, I was selected for the World University Games. We had the camp at LNCP Gwalior, and then unfortunately the World University Games were canceled. I didn't make that, you know, we didn't get to go. But that was the passion I had. And then, you know, ultimately it reversed that when I came here and I decided to, you know, padhai ka time, and then at a later age when people are, you know, raising families and doing other things, I decided to go to Harvard for a master's degree. So for me, you know, I really don't fall into that category of, you know, these एक certain time पे चीजें करनी.
Kapoor, इससे एक question भी आया हुआ है on the chat. And I think, you know, so it almost segues beautifully into it. So abhi jo Rai ka golfing group hai, I think it's active, and in general I think Raists have become more golfers now than runners, but that's good. I'm still carrying the tradition of running. But
you played golf. It just
on a serious note, I think the question people are asking is they want to know more about your golf this thing, and it reminds me of the venture you started, which I don't think the venture succeeded, but you did succeed in producing some very fine golfer, at least one golfer I'm aware of near Panipat, right? Bhawana, basically. Yeah. So I think people are keen to hear about your story around golf. I think that is one of the questions in the group of questions.
Okay. So because I was so passionate about sports in 1994, before 1994 Asian Games, I hurt myself. I hurt my knee while practicing. So I sort of retired from athletics as a runner. So I thought we had to do something. So I started golfing, and then I started liking it. I came to the US to study golf management, and then went back to India, worked in the golf industry at the Delhi Golf Club as operations manager, at the ITC golf course as the operations manager. But then I thought I came back to the US because once I spent 2 years in the US studying, I realized because there are so many other things that you could do here and it might not be possible in India. So, but then I thought business, the reason was I wanted to produce golfers. I've seen that for, you know, any sport, whether it's golf or any other thing, you need passion. So the kids, the aapke bache, because for people who don't know, Sudhanshu has 2 kids. Avni, in fact, Avni is a national level swimmer. People might not know. Avni is a 11th grader now in Bombay. She's a national medalist in swimming, and she's the top student at her school, and she is a super, super genius. I'm a big fan of Avni. And then Sudhanshu's older daughter, she just graduated from Columbia University in Ivy League school, 2-3 months ago. She lived with us for a few months before she left for India. So you believe in the same philosophy that sports teaches us so many things. So I had this idea that agar sports mein successful hona hai, then just to play sports as a fun, as to teach you, may take you as a teacher in sort of life lesson. That's a great thing. But if you want professional golfers, professional athletes, our kids, they have luxuries, Mercedes mein ghumte hain, BMW mein ghumte hain, they have not seen the jo aa gaya bhook hamare ko hoti hai. Hamare father to hamare ko cycle pe bitai ke liye aate the, wo ye Mercedes mein jaate hain. So I realized ki agar kisi ko professional golfer banana hai, so I could establish these golf academies in villages in India. So the first venture was in Israna, which is my sister is married in that village. She owns a big chunk of land. So I rented I think 12 acres from her and built this golf academy, but eventually it didn't work out. But there's one golfer, Shubham Jaglan, who I started, and then of course now he's a big name in he's won the world championship, junior world championship multiple times, and he's so that was my idea कि अगर वो गांव का बच्चा है उसके पास there's nothing else, he has nothing to lose, because best he could become maybe a bus conductor, a driver बन सकता है. So I thought, why not have those kids practice 4, 5, 6 hours, because this is the best option for them. So that was the concept where, there are other things, because my family was here, my kids were getting older, they needed my help. So I came back, ditched that idea. But you tell us about your thing about, because I know that a lot of people, because glamour industry is one thing where people really, a lot of people think they can make it. So what is your tip for people or young people from Rai or otherwise? What's one thing that they should know if they want to enter this industry?
So I think, Kapoor, entertainment industry, the good news is that with digital opening up, the opportunities are really there are more and more opportunities. And I think this entire world is getting more opened up and democratized. So that is, I think, great news. That was not the case 8 years back or even 10, 5 to 8 years back, definitely 10 years back. And I think because it was like very close, particularly the big film industry and all that. So I think the question is now it is opened up. If you have the talent, you will be able to break through. But it is a tough industry. I must tell everybody, it's an industry where, unfortunately, there are no objective yardsticks to judge you in the beginning. Later on, of course, audiences, basically it is a very objective industry. I think if you do well, you will be recognized. But I think the initial phase, it's a slightly tough industry. But having said that, all the people who are listening and who want to sort of do this, I think do reach out. I think in whichever way I can help to sort of, connect you to the right people. I'm always there. I think that helps in this industry. But patience and having confidence and having belief in yourself is very, very important. And be open to doing different things. And to be going through one step to the other. Don't get fixated on one thing is what I would say. And on that one, that reminds me, Kapoor, yaar, tu ye sab baatein jo kar raha hai, let's तू अपने स्कूल टाइम का कोई योर क्रश वगैरह की तो बात तूने कुछ करी नहीं यार अभी तक क्या चल रहा है इधर उसका
Yeah, so yeah, let's stay away from that because we are with two people तेरे को पढ़ाई से फुर्सत नहीं थी मेरे को खेल से फुर्सत नहीं थी, so we are not the right kind of people to discuss those questions. But talking of film industry, and people have made in film industry. In fact, Randeep is a good example. I was in fact chatting with Randeep 2-3 दिन पहले. I was chatting with him and chatting with him last night also, and I'm impressed that not only he's an actor, but he is a very, very good human being. The kind of things, in fact, he posted a few days ago on the X-Prize page, he's cleaning up, of social responsibilities. So I think this is a good time to talk maybe about a few of the things that you do, just like, you sponsor 50 kids in Bombay. For you pay their tuition. We did a lot for both you and I. In fact, all of our batchmates, they came together and we raised funds for Jyotish, our dear friend who passed away, a great cricketer. He passed away 4 or 5 years ago. So, what can you tell me a little bit more about? Because my perspective, not perspective, but I think my intention here is to inspire people, Raists people, to do a little bit more for their community. So talk about a little bit how much you do and the time you spend, the things you do with people, underprivileged people.
So this is really close to my heart. Thanks, Kapoor, for raising it, because I think, you know, as we were talking about some time back, and Mr. Nagarkar was also talking, and many of our teachers, you know, some of them are also our very respected teachers are on this call as well. I think I've personally been a big beneficiary of education. I think education is transformational. Rai is a classic example of that. So I think I make it a point to give back. I adopted a class about 8 years back. Then last 5 years, 4 years back, I adopted 2 classes now. So I basically ensure that there are funds available and those kind of, so basically more predominantly funding, but more importantly, I mentor them. So I find at least 1 day a quarter. And then I visit twice the school, 2 schools, which I spend at least 7 to 8 hours in those schools. More recently, because of COVID, we are also looking at blended learning, so digital and so on and so forth. So there's a work which I'm doing, and I will pitch in, I think, to the group here and to Raists to say if you can come in, because we need to help them with the basic gadget to be able to allow them to learn from home. I've reached out to my friends in telecom to sort of be able to help that, but that is an important piece. But the hunger they have, Kapoor, is phenomenal. I think that's
yeah, amazing. Yeah, because in fact, there's another Raists, Pradeep Chaudhary. I think it was 2 or 3 batches senior to us, maybe in cricket. So he's Colonel Pradeep Chaudhary, lives in Gurgaon. He has adopted 40 girls, and the club's name is Choma Eagles. And these girls are from slums in Gurgaon, and they become a champion soccer club now. In fact, both my kids, Tej and Riddhi, started initiative recently because, as you know, I've been also, just like you've been doing scholarships and all for the last 15, 16 years. We give 150 scholarships to kids in India every year. So the Choma Eagles, in fact, my kids, I talk to them and they realize that they want to adopt their club and they want to do something. They already raised money because recently they were raising money to buy pads, or what they call them, tabs, tablets for them. So they already raised the money, but we told Pradeep that, whenever there's a need for anything, the chipping chain that both Tej and Riddhi has created, we will adopt that club, because I feel that we who have been lucky, who have come from nowhere, at least I came from nowhere, having nothing as a child, or at least in the terms that we have today. So we as a community, as Rai community, we should do a little bit more for people whom we can help.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember with now girls, you refuse to talk about them, but we remember fondly a lot of girls from our school. And I think this may be a time to Kapoor invite.
No, I think, yeah, Sonam sent me a message that she wanted to do some, rapid fire questions. So Sonam, come on. Sonam, not Harpreet, Sonam.
So,
hi,
Sonam.
Hi, Harpreet.
You are not getting Sonam.
What?
Renality and
yeah, your video, I can't see you on video.
It's a rapid fire question, round to be
you
done
need
by.
to switch on your video.
I think you have stopped it. Okay.
Yeah, Harpreet, we can see you now.
Yeah. So, Miri, what do you say?
Yeah, this is Kapoor. Up to tiyar ho ja bhai. Up to now tighten your belt, bhai. But before that, I think Kapoor, I'm saying now, Harpreet, that she's there. I have to introduce her to the wider audience. I'm sure there are a lot of Raists who are not from 85 batch. All our friends, of course, Harpreet needs no introduction. But Harpreet, let me take a couple of minutes. Harpreet is a very, very special person. She is a brilliant mind with a beautiful heart. As many of you know, maths, is very dear to her, and also to her daughter now, Jasleen. And I think so, and she teaches maths, and she's but more importantly, what strikes me about Harpreet is she's always very composed, always smiling. You can see the beautiful smile on your screens as we see. And this was true in the school days as well. It's true till day. And I think the one important thing, and Kapoor, we were talking about it, it's very opportune. I think when it comes to giving and generosity, there isn't a person better than Harpreet I have known in my life. So Harpreet, thank you for that. I think the initiative you took with Jyotish, and I think in everything which you did, you're always available for Rise School. I think the amount of work which you do for Rise School, I think the way when we traveled once, you had organized something. I think when on our on our 25th year, the way we sort of, you took the initiative, we should give back. Open air theater, Kapoor, yaad hai tere ko? Open air theater.
I know. She was
We were all carrying. So Harpreet, and most importantly, and many people don't know, there is a person Harpreet adopted, who's like as dear to her as her daughter. I forget the name now, Harpreet, but I think whom she sent to UWC in Pune, the best of schools, and to US for education. Many of us will not do it for our own cousins' children many times, what Harpreet did for, and for this thing. So Harpreet, I'm absolutely delighted. I've had a privilege to briefly meet Pali, who's an outstanding person. And I have not yet met, but I've read a lot about your brilliant daughter. So, and one thing, but I must say, Nalini is on the call. Most of the time, you are generous, you are giving and all that. But you remember the UK trip and France, when you lost everything. I think, लेकिन वो जो चोर था ना, वो अच्छा चोर था, कपूर इसका passport छोड़ गया. Passport, I think, was left behind.
Passport नहीं खोया.
Passport
It was my camera.
उसको passport,
everything he took, but passport, he was a decent bloke to leave behind passport. Otherwise,
He left behind the passport. Everything else he took.
Yeah, he left behind the passport.
उसको पैसे से मतलब नहीं था, उसको passport में फोटो पसंद आ गई थी भाई.
अच्छा, लेकिन passport ले गया वो. But that is
passport लिया ही नहीं.
That is one time many of us are on this call when we were generous towards you. So on that note,
absolutely, I think it came from there. So Sudhanshu will give credit where it's due.
But that okay then maybe I can say a few words about Mini, because although I have met both of them, of course, we went to school together, but both Harpreet and her husband Pali have been with us. Her daughter Jasleen, who also graduated from an Ivy League school recently, and she from Brown University. She's a computer science major, and she's doing PhD at another Ivy League school. There are a lot of brainy people here. So both Jasleen has been here with us, a few times. So she's a lovely kid. But don't forget that when we did for Jyotish's kids, when he passed away, just Harpreet, Vikas Roila, Narendra Yadav, they put in so much effort, of course.
Mr. Malevar.
Yeah, so many of us, a lot of people can contribute financially, but to be able to go there and spend time is not easy. But let me then maybe say a few words about Mini, although she's not a very nice person. I see that she's very mean.
Kapoor, you're showing a red flag, yeah.
I'm trying to rile her up. What I'm saying is, I want to rile her up because she's.
Can you guys hear me? Because I've been told you can't hear me. I've been saying stuff and nobody can hear me.
No, I can hear you.
So Mini is, she married to a Fauji, KK Nen. We lovingly call him KK Saab. And he's very well known to all our batchmates because he's a Fauji, and he's not only a Fauji, he was a really top star player, hockey player. So there's a stronger connection with Raists. Mini has 2 kids, Joey, who has been here, met us. She visited us last year with KK Saab and Mini. And I think she attends Ashoka University, if I'm not wrong, which is right next door to Rai, right?
Yeah.
And then Aditya is her son, who's older.
It's a very good school, Kapoor.
Yeah. So, and Aditya is a newly minted lawyer, but there's one thing about Mini, she's a wordsmith. She has her way with words. She can make things out of nothing. I mean, she writes so well. Obviously, she wrote a thing for Mem Nagarkar. So, in fact, on our class WhatsApp group, sometimes we play crossword, right? And my goal is always to beat Mini ki ek line ya ek row column se pehle fill kar do, so I can feel accomplished. Right? So that's the kind of writer she is. And she, in fact, she writes so craftily that one time I was reading her post on Facebook, thinking that she was ranting about her kids, only to realize in the end that she was scolding her badly behaving plants. She's a gardener. So she's so passionate about her gardening. So keeping with the spirit of her gardening passion, I'm going to say, grow, girl.
Thank you so much, guys. That is so sweet. But if you think saying nice things about us will get you off the hook and we will not ask you tough questions, that is not happening.
What questions? I think Sonu was supposed to ask questions.
Yeah.
No.
I'm
sorry.
This is a plot.
Okay, so Mini, you're not mean. You're nice. You're not mean.
listen. We've been listening, and you guys, you are amazing to watch. Such a treat. Like I've been mesmerized for the past 1 hour, and but I'm afraid it's time that we broke up this mutual admiration society. What do you say, Harpreet? We start with a rapid fire. Yeah.
Absolutely, Vinny, bilkul. Although we really don't want to roast you guys after you said such kind words about us, we're going to give some fun questions. And we're expecting that everybody here will get to know you better with the questions. I'm going quickly to the first one. We're going back to the time when corporal punishment wasn't taboo. And every Rai boy has this story where they were beaten to pulp. So what is your story? We'll start with Kapoor because
Sudhanshu to कभी पिटाई नहीं तो मेरा answer है इसमें तो right. So
For the record, I know Sudhanshu pita hai.
oh, I know.
Kapoor,
So,
you talk. You've got to quickly give the answer.
okay, so it's a very embarrassing thing. In fact, that incident haunted me for a long time. So Chikara sir hote the swimming coach, right? So I think I was the house captain. I think I was the 12th grade ki baat hai. So I was shouting, cheering up for some house, and LPG Goswami sir was with me. But maybe it touched the wrong nerve with Chikara sir. He suddenly came to me and started thrashing me, and itna जोर से पीटा, मतलब बुरा हाल कर दिया. And it was so bad that our whole batch, 85 batch, went on a strike. And I know, right? So the whole batch went on a strike.
We didn't have dinner or something like that.
But the bad part was that I was called by YP sir in his principal's office next day, and then he sort of he threatened me, and then I said, okay, I'll talk to people, and we broke the strike. But that was taken in a slightly negative way from some of our batchmates, and they thought I sort of snitched on them, and why did I
chickened out
so chickened out. And then the worst
what
part
would
was
an 11-year-old do?
No,
what would an 11-year-old do? I mean, that was just silly.
I know. We look at the same thing in a totally different perspective now. But the thing is that, in fact, that might have triggered something in me, because I was house captain, but the next day he announced that I was also the school games captain, which Satyavrat was. And Satyavrat and Narendra, in my mind, Narendra Yadav and Satyavrat were really star athletes at that time. And when I was announced the school games captain also, it sort of that people thought that I sort of bought the title. So it inspired me to do even better. And I think it changed something in me that I had to prove extra hard that I deserved that title. So, and then I went on to, some athletic glory. But at the same time, I think that's one thing that, haunted me for a long time, that I did not do the right thing with my bat. So sorry guys at that time, but when an 11, 12, 13-year-old is against my Vardoaz, I could
let me tell you something about the full batch now, Harpreet. Apni to baat leke sabko yaad hai, I don't know who all were there when we went to Shimla. And we were going to that kaun sa wo mandir hota tha, basically wo Bandro wala. So pata nahi kisne kya gadbad kari thi, all of us had to become murga. याद है वो सारे पूरे रोड के साथ में सारे के सारे वो मुर्गे बन गए. और and basically and I think गोस्वामी सर थे, पता नहीं मेरे को याद नहीं कौन से सर थे, most probably I don't know साथ में, लेकिन basically सब and बुरा हाल हो रहा है सबका वहाँ पे, we are sweating and all that. But when I reflect back, I think the good thing is आजकल जब yoga poses करते हैं तो some of those things help us, right? I think otherwise it would have been difficult.
Okay, Vinny, carry on. Yeah.
Acha, listen, you guys have been skirting around this one particular question, and I've been keeping count. It has cropped up 3 times. अब बता ही दो यार, तुम्हारा crush क्या था, कौन था? नहीं, कौन नहीं. No names. We don't want a defamation suit on our hands. Just tell us, did you have one? And did you for a nanosecond think that it was reciprocated? Or did you nurse a broken heart? I mean, anything. Just, Sudhanshu, you go.
You took the lead, Sudhanshu.
Of course. अभी लेकिन नाम लेना तो गलत हो जाएगा ना. That's as you rightly
said. No names.
And I continue to believe till date that it was reciprocated. I may be wrong.
Oh, so sweet.
Chalo, Kapoor, what about you?
And what about you, Kapoor?
7th grade mein I proposed and I was rejected, and I was basically felt bad all 6 years in Rai.
Kapoor,
you early starter.
Yeah.
Okay.
थोड़ा
So,
समय देना चाहिए, Kapoor. I'll tell you that is the lesson for you. is
Yeah,
थोड़ा
maybe the
Don't
person
rush.
didn't realize, maybe the person didn't realize at that time I'm going to be a star one day, right?
Oh.
okay, now just keeping in that same tone, we were all pretty clueless at school, and if we were to go back now, I'm sure we will have some incredible advice for our version of ourselves. What would you tell a 16-year-old you if you were to give an advice now?
So Sudhanshu, go ahead.
So I think that's a very good question. I would say, on a lighter note, to spend some more time with the better in order to nurture what you had in your heart and to try and take it to fruition.
Okay.
My thing is, it's curious that the physical courage is so common in this world, but moral courage is so rare. And if you can stand basically believe in yourself and do what is right, that's not easy for a 16, 17-year-old. And so believe in yourself and do the right thing.
Okay. Minnie?
Okay, yeah. Acha, we know that you two are very talented guys, and you have you can run fast and you can hit a golf ball really fast. But the thing is, the kind of talent that I'm looking for, do you have a hidden talent? The sort of talent where you can fit 4 golf balls in your mouth, or you can eat your weight in paranthas. That kind of
Oh,
talent.
Kapoor has one.
A
Quick.
hidden
I have
talent.
two. First one is I can move my ears. So
I told you, Minnie. Did I tell you? You move your ears.
that's one thing I really take pride in. A lot of people can't do. The other thing is I have this habit of tying my shoelaces, like standing, like I would stand up and then I say, right? So people, when they see me, they're confused. Like, when I started noticing, people find it, kind of a talent. And now I try to show off that I always tie my shoes with standing on one leg and picking up the other leg and tying my shoes. That's a talent.
Yeah. Minnie, for me, it is about being able to eat number of puris or number of jalebis. वो याद है वो कौन सा था अपना वो course पे गए थे हम water sports course पे. I don't know, some of the people on this call may be there.
Fondant.
Number in those days, at least I could. By God's grace, because of running, I can still eat, but may not be a competition any longer. So I think
Wow. Exactly
Okay.
the kind of thing I was looking for.
Okay, so get your creative juices running, guys. The next question is that you get an invisibility cloak and you get to go back because you have a time machine. So what do you think you'll do when you go back to Rai? Would you play a prank or something? What would you do? You have an invisibility cloak and you're going back in a time machine back to the time in Rai.
Mera to, I think I would go into the teacher's room and get the exam paper out.
Okay.
No, if I had an invisibility cloak, I will go into Mr. Bharadwaj's principal's room and see what he was thinking and what he was doing. I was very curious and very impressed with him in those days.
Okay,
Right,
great.
good one. Acha. So a secret from Rai that you have never told anyone. And after all, what better platform than this when all your friends are watching you to get it off your chest, right? So still.
Sudhanshu?
Kapoor, you have to go first on this.
So, well, I don't know whether I should share it because there's someone else involved in it, but I'll not name that person then. So I think we were in 8th grade and this senior comes up to me and she said कि वो जो लड़की देख रहा है उसको लेटर दे के आना है. I couldn't understand वो क्या दे के आना है. कहता तेरे थप्पड़ लगेंगे तेरा ये होगा तेरा वो होगा तेरा दे के आना है. तो मैं कहा चल ठीक है भाई क्या और तुम मैंने 8th grade में 7th में KNS में थे 8th में वहाँ पे गए थे and that person is in the one of the WhatsApp groups I am now. So he gave me the letter and he gave me a rose. So I went to the girls hostel, मतलब जो lunch के बाद जो लड़कियां आ जाती थी ना, I tried to follow and hide in ताकि देखे ना. So I mustered up some courage and I approached her and I told her कि दीदी बोलते this time कि दीदी इस तरह से ना भैया ने ये letter दिया है. So she started questioning and she was amused कि चक्कर क्या again, why would he send it through, why are you the messenger? And I had no idea, we were so new, I did not know the person that well. So I'm talking to her and And then I said कि दीदी आपको ये रोज भी दिया है. जैसे मैंने रोज निकाला, मैडम दत्ता वहां से आ गई. तो उस लड़की ने सोचा कि मैडम दत्ता ने सोचा कि मैं उस लड़की को रोज दे रहा हूँ. एक 8th ग्रेडर चक्कर चला रहा हूँ 11th 12th ग्रेड के. तो जोर से थप्पड़ मारा मेरे को. And then I woke up and पता लगा सपना था ये.
Oh my God.
No, but mine is a little bit. Basically, so there were Jyotish Chaudhary, of course, at that point in time. My dear friend Jyotish, just remembering him, and Subhash Chand. Subhash Chand was a rich kid, as many of you would remember in those days.
He's not there also anymore.
Yeah, I know very well. So we basically all sneaked out and went for a movie to Delhi and got back. And I was part of the group. It was also, there were 2 or 3 other people. I took the liberty of taking Jyotish and Subhash, and may their soul rest in peace, because I could take their names now. I think they included me because they thought कि legitimacy हो जाएगी जब बोलना पड़ेगा excuse क्या था, कहाँ गए थे, क्या हो रहा था, and all that stuff. So that's it.
Okay, so
Okay.
I'm going to give you a Freaky Friday situation where Sudhanshu is going to turn into Kapoor and Kapoor turns into Sudhanshu. What do you think how that situation would pan out?
I would fail miserably because he's a corporate kind of person, and I wear shirts only when I have to. But the t-shirt wala banda hoon, so I will be very uncomfortable. Unless it's a Friday on a golf course or maybe running. But running maybe मुश्किल से मेरा हाथ मतलब तंग है, because I think 4 साल 5 साल पहले I went to Bombay. I was staying with Sudhanshu. So सुबह मैं कहता तू मैं running करने जा रहा हूँ तो चलेगा, मगर फिर दीक्षा जो Sudhanshu की wife, we are friends because we खूब बारी आते हैं यहाँ पे. तो मैं दीक्षा के सामने मेरी बेइज्जती कराया, मैं हाँ चलता हूँ मैं भी. तो मैं गया वहां से, तो प्रियदर्शनी पार्क इसके घर के बाहर, famous stadium right on the ocean. And the tragedy is, I won a national medal in that stadium running as a national champion. And उस running उसमें track में चक्कर लगा रहे हैं, वहाँ trail भी थी. I could not keep up with him for 5 minutes. तो मैं दीक्षा वो घर पे आया, मैं कहा यार तू इस घोड़े को खिलाती है, कौन से चने खिलाती है, चने मेरे को दे दे थोड़े से 2-4 किलो में भी लेके जाऊं. So maybe running I can try, but nothing I can match. This guy is superhuman.
And I think it'll be difficult for me to become Coach K as well. Although t-shirts, तो अभी मेरे को COVID ने, Harpreet and Mini, now I'm always most of the time in t-shirts. Sometimes even in the t-shirt without a collar, which is what Kapoor is in most of the time. But it may be difficult to continue to be Coach K, as he's known to all his dear kids now who sort of work with him. So, thank you.
Okay.
Acha, I have to ask you, were you ever stupid enough to do something outrageous on a dare, like a bet, or were you a victim of one? वो भी बता दो, वो भी चलेगा.
A bet I had recently, in fact, I'm not sure whether it's a dare, but it was a bet with my daughter, Vidhi. She's a rower, right? So she's an athlete.
Yeah.
Kapoor,
by the way, Kapoor's daughter is an international champion in her age group, and I think she's a winner, and she's got a record actually in her age.
Yeah.
She has a junior
world amazing looking girl. I mean,
Yeah.
you look at her and you're like, wow, and such a nice kid.
Many looks से मुझे याद आ गया. We did an IFA in New Jersey, and I think the Met Stadium 2 years back.
I remember I was there.
Yeah.
I was in US. Yeah.
So and Kapoor and his lovely and very pretty daughter Riddhi was there. So Riddhi came and sat next to Alia Bhatt. When that picture was circulated, people were saying who's the actress and who is not. So you can imagine.
Oh, I can completely believe that.
In US, they don't know sort of, so therefore.
She has got the
Stunning.
beauty and the brains, yes.
Okay, yeah, she has the junior world record in fact on her name. But the thing is, she bet me because
that is also because he's a very handsome guy, by the way. So therefore, it's father's.
Okay, so January there was a challenge, the bike challenge, and then because Vidhi does rowing also, so uske club pe there was a challenge ki then they allowed parents to participate ki एक month में पूरे January के month में सबसे ज़्यादा जो है rowing या bike count करेगा, तो bike के meter half कर देता है. अगर आपने 20 किलोमीटर किया, it counts as 10 kilometers of rowing. So पूरे month में जितना करेगा, तो last year मैंने participate किया था, I finished third. There's a guy Jamie Hemp करके, he's represented the US. So he won. Riddhi was second, including all the boys and girls and all the parents and everything. And I was third. So this year in 2020, 20 January, I said, I'm going to beat Jamie. And Riddhi said, I bet, I dare you can. I said, Pakka, Gagat Pakka. So I ended up going so crazy biking and rowing for that 1 month that on the last day to beat Jamie, I biked 350 kilometers in 1 day, it took me about 11 hours, 40 minutes, but 354 kilometers of biking in 1 day and 2,000 kilometers in 22 days. That was a bet.
Wow.
And I
But
beat Jamie.
you can't hedge around this one. You have to say.
Yeah, no, I will tell you. I think it was one of these festivals, in the college circuit when we used to go around different festivals for some plays, this, that, and all that. So we had to do an impromptu one, and some of my, teammates, they wanted to do something about asterisks and obelisks, I think. So, and unfortunately, I had not read them enough, or I did not know much. So they said, "Sudhanshu, tu kar lega." So maine, basically said, "Main kar dunga yaar, tu bata de." When we went on the stage, I don't know what I was doing. So everyone was sort of booing us, saying, "Ye kya kar rahi hai?" Absolutely no clue. So that's what ended up, and I must apologize to those guys each time when I meet them. I think that's what, because of me, they had to be booed and all that. So that's
Okay, so we're going to end this session now, and we want you guys to carry on taking on questions from other people who are waiting for you to answer those. It's been a pleasure, Kapoor. It's been a great pleasure talking to both of you. And thank you so much for all those kind words you've said. They mean a lot.
No,
Have a great evening ahead. Bye-bye.
No, you totally deserve it. I'm telling you.
Bye, you guys.
Yeah. Thanks, Harpreet. Thanks, Vinny. I think, thank you for being kind. We were very, very worried. I was at least very worried. I said, "Kya hone wala hai?" But thank you so much.
think one thing, I'm not sure whether you mentioned that Harpreet's husband Pali, because when he came here, they lived with us for 2 days. He's such a funny guy. He's a riot.
Yes,
I thought I can beat him, but I couldn't. He's a funny guy. So there's one question, Sudhanshu, I wanted to ask, because there's this, one of our juniors from Soma House, Priya Ahuja, she's Priya Singh now, or Priya, I think she's Ahuja, now Singh or school mein Ahuja. I'm little confused. I think Priya Singh abhi school mein Ahuja thi. So I think 1990 batch se. She's also in IM Calcutta or Kolkata, whichever way you want to say it. She's an alum of that. So she asked me before the chat, even she said, "Bhaiya, aap ek baar Sudhanshu bhaiya se puchna ki what does he think about the role of feminism, women in corporate in India, because there's India ranks, I think, 5th from the bottom in the number of women in the workforce, and there are not many women in boardrooms or CEOs, and why is that, and is that changing?"
So Priya, thank you first of all for asking this question, and I think this is something very close to my heart, and something which I am constantly reminded. As you know, I have 2 lovely daughters. So between my wife and my daughters, and I've had a great influence of my grandmother and mother. So there are 5 very strong women who've shaped me who I am, and I remain eternally grateful to them. I think there is a long way to go. But having said that, I think things are changing, Priya. I'm a firm believer कि वो बोलते हैं ना, बूंद बूंद से सागर बनता है. I think each one of us has to contribute. I can tell you at a personal level, in Viacom 18, when I was running Viacom 18, we had 48% representation. So almost 50-50. I think in media, although it's slightly easier, to be honest with you, but more importantly, even at the top table, I think of the 12 people, there were 4 who were there. So I think I'm a very firm believer in diversity. And I must also add that, I thank UN, because I'm a he for she ambassador. I think my view on feminism is that, and my daughter is a very, very strong feminist. I think it's important to continue to do that, but I think it's a partnership. I think men have to stand for women, and women have to stand for men, as much as women have to stand for women. I think, so therefore that's how we will be able to progress this. I'm also an eternal optimist, and therefore I say that give it a little bit more time. I think the wave of education and this entire independence is just set in the historical perspective. I'm now talking of thousands of years and all that maybe humankind has existed. I think it's only about 100-year-old phenomena triggered by the world wars, when basically women stepped out and from the traditional roles because there were no men there. So I think from then onwards, of course, you've not looked back, and I think it will continue to change. So it will get progressively better. I think some affirmation is needed, and I think wherever there is, that can be done. We should continue to do that. But fight for it, but fight. Remember, men are not your enemy. There are more men who are equally in favor of walking hand in hand with women than maybe even women. So I think, and there will be, so therefore, I think it's for us to make sure that these things we are able to develop. And I think this is a subject very close to my heart. I'll be happy to talk, and I can go on talking about it, Kapoor. So, but I don't want to take too much time. I think it is a thing whose time has come, and we will continue to see more women leaders across the board. The reason you are seeing a little fewer at the moment is the pipeline was like that. You remember our engineering days, Kapoor, that basically, and then even I am Ahmedabad, Priya, in our time, I think, so the numbers used to be very few. The numbers are dramatically changing now, so the pipeline is changing, and the world will be a different place 10 years from now.
Yeah, STEM education itself has changed so much, because I remember in our class in NIT, REC, there were maybe 4 girls. And in fact, one of them was Vineeta, our batchmate in Kurukshetra, and she took a gap year, and our 1 year senior in Rai. So Vineeta was there, then Kumud, and then maybe there were maybe not more than 5 girls in our whole batch of how big the batch was.
Sudhanshu, Sonam here. I'll quickly take a few questions which were on the chat, and if we can answer them. So
yes,
Swati has asked that, were there any scary moments when you both were achieving so much in life?
So let me go first, and then I'll ask Kapoor. I think there are always moments where there is room for some doubt. But I think, with the experience of hindsight, and Kapoor, I think, talked about it earlier as well, don't allow that, don't allow yourself to be bothered or afraid of anything. I think there is also time in our life when we try to sort of, fall in line or sort of comply or belong, whatever word you want to use. And sometimes you run the risk of losing yourself in doing so. Kapoor has, of course, never done that. But I think, let me tell you, it's important to believe in yourself, to remain secure. And remember, it's a marathon. Life is a marathon. You should know what pace you're running with. It is a race. So therefore, it is wrong for me to say it's not a race. It is relative. It's a race. But at the same time, it is also your own race. You can't, you should not and cannot run someone else's race. You will never enjoy that race, and you are unlikely to win that race. You may not even finish it if you try to do that. So I think, in a marathon analogy, let me tell you, I think run the race, run it at your pace, do what you like. And if you do what you like, you're more likely than not, you will excel in it. So believe in yourself. That's what I would say.
So I'm going to give 2 examples where I had to dig deep within myself and my beliefs, and then both times I succeeded by grace of God. One is that in 1991, I won the national trial for the 1991 SAP Games. But because at that time I used to practice in Nehru Stadium in Delhi, but I used to represent Haryana at the national. So the Delhi people said, "Oh, you have to represent Delhi at the nationals because my trophy." I said, "No, I'm a Haryana person. I'm going to represent Haryana." So 1991, despite winning the national trial, they did not take me to the 1991 SAP Games. It was a heart crusher because that was my dream for such a long time. And then the 1993, of course, it happened that I actually finally was able to represent, India. But even despite winning, being one of the top 400-meter hurdlers in the country, they did not invite me even to the national camp. I had to fight for it, and eventually what I said, okay, agar itna kar do ki I will pay for my own food and stay, but let me practice with the team. So in 1992, I think, I paid for myself, went to NIS Bangalore, stayed, practiced with the Indian team. And when you see P.T. Usha practicing against you, or Bahadur Prasad practicing against you, that gives you the belief ki yaar ye bhi to bande hi hai na. So I had so much belief in myself. I said ki baad mein jaye sab kuch ki I will pay. I was not a rich guy. And then I said I paid from my pocket, stayed there, and ended up representing India in 1993. Then the next is in 2008, during the financial crisis. I was already here. I had 2 kids. I had bought a home, and the financial crisis hit. And I was in a situation, in fact, Sudhanshu, you probably don't even know, I told Akshiti, your daughter, right? She was with us, and I was driving Akshiti somewhere, I think Mahina Pehle, and I was passing by a gas station in New Jersey. And I told Akshiti, remember this gas station? She said, Uncle, kya ho gaya? Mecca, there was a time in 2009, did not have, I think I had $2 or something in my pocket. I had maxed out my credit cards. I had zero balance in my account, but I did not give up. And, I ended up successful.
Another interesting one is Kulwinder has asked that since both of you are from Soma House, what has been the influence of Mr. L.P. Goswami in your life?
So before I go to L.P. Goswami sir, of course we are all Somans and Soman tigers as we call ourselves. But let me tell you about Gabbar. Gabbar, we have this. In fact, this is the right time to bring in our Rai Golf group, which is amazing group. This is the group I connect with as much as I connect with my 85 batch. So Gabbar, by the way, he's known Gabbar, but his name is Kulwinder Dalal, older brother of Arvinder. Then Om Prakash Gatwala, he has the most energy in this world. He was one batch senior to us, but this guy is crazy good. Like, he keeps the group alive. So, that guy, then Pami Kapoor, then Balbir Koka, who was the first house school captain, then Jagdeep Daya, Kulbir Kataria, Vijay Jain, Narinder Dalal, K5, Bali, Tiger Sir's son, Rajiv Daya, Narinder Dagar, Sandeep Sangwan, he was our senior at REC Kurukshetra, and then he went to IIM Lucknow. He's in that group. Of course, Karan Singh Daya, Anupam Srivastava. There's so many great people in this group, and there's so much fun. And there is an inter-house rivalry going on in that group. Ki hamare, COVID-19 se golf to khel nahi sakte. So Gabbar and I or Arvinder Jobi, we just keep on pushing. Ki, Soma is great, and Omi Gatwala will say no, Varna beat karega. Then Pami ma'am jo Walia, oh wo Surya ki captain designate kar rakhi hai ki because she lives in San Francisco or Bay Area. So we always come back to Goswami sir ne kya sikhaya hamare ko, ya Sangwan sir ne Gatwala ki team ko kya sikhaya hai, ya matlab Surya usko kya sikhaya hai. It is such a fun thing to have that inter-house rivalry in that golf group.
Yeah, but let me take two things here. One is specifically Gabbar for Goswami sir. मेरे Goswami sir का एक dialogue याद है, और वो I think and I tell this many times to a lot of people and I try and practice it to the best I can. He used to say, "Those who sweat in peace don't bleed in war." He used to say army type saying for preparation, "Those who sweat in peace don't bleed in war." So मतलब preparation and तैयारी करने का the role which you have to play. But picking on what Kapoor was saying, I think the other thing about Soma House, the great thing about Soma House, and I'll always remember Arun for this, I think Arun gave me the chance when I was in class 9 to compete in the debates for class 11 and 12.
And you won, I think, right?
Huh?
And you won.
And I won. And I was, so therefore, and that is a turning point in my, at least my confidence in being able to speak and the entire, and I remember Arun till date. And I think that is another philosophy I follow. I follow in corporate world as well. I say, is the guy 60% ready? And does he have the attitude? So if you are 60% ready and you have the attitude, you're ready to jump as far as I'm concerned. And I think that always helps in developing talent.
Another tribute to Soma House and Dave, the way Soma House fought, Sudhanshu, I remember that debate. In fact, I clearly remember that debate that you being a 10th grade, they asked you to compete in 11th, 12th and you beat everyone. Same year, when you were in 10th grade, Narendra Yadav was asked to run intra-house cross country with the 11th and 12th graders. And he won that, I think won or second. He won or came second in the 11th and 12th category when he was in 10th grade. And probably it was because of LPG sir that he allowed him. And that was the only time I won the 9th and 10th because Narendra was sent to the older group. And I ended up winning the 10th, 9th, 10th grade cross country. But that shows how Soma House maybe thought way ahead of other people. And the other thing I think that Gabbar has given to the golf group is हमारे golf group का नाम है Jad Beach के, which is basically the end जोड़ लगा दो end तक. So वो the Jad Beach के वाला जो dialogue, I think that comes from Soma House.
Yeah.
Okay, so another one, Kapoor Bhaiya from Brijesh. He's from 2018 batch, young lad. He wants to know what is a quick advice that you can give to a 20 years old entrepreneur.
Well, again, I think believing in yourself, and then because, maybe I can speak to this a little bit because my son, who just recently graduated from college, last month, and he's an entrepreneur kind of a guy. And what I've done with him, and the same thing with my daughter. She has initiative. In fact, the chip and chain that she started is mainly her, and then Tej is helping her. But the one thing that I've done, at least with my kids, and what I've done in my thing, is that get these experiences, because they don't think that everything will pay off in the immediate run, but in the long run it will. So what I do with, like, there has been many times since Tej was in 11th grade, because they were homeschooled. I spent a lot of time with them, and he ended up graduating from the Wharton School of Business last month. So what I did with him is that whenever he would say, "Dad, give me $5,000, I want to try this." Okay, le ja. Give me $10,000. Okay, le ja. So I know some people might think that's a huge risk, you are wasting money, but I thought that he was learning, and then he became self-independent. He even if he wasted money, that was a good lesson learned. So as an 18-year-old, 20-year-old, believe in yourself, and then the experiences you're getting, they all add up someday.
Thank you. Thanks, Sudhanshu. Thanks, Kapoor Bhaiya.
Kapoor, एक journey और तूने बताई नहीं, जो when you traveled from the west coast to the east coast.
Yeah.
All on your own. I think that is
so in the US, right? Yeah. So yeah, when I was changing jobs, I had new to the US on the work visa. Of course, I'd finished my padai here, but then I took, because Riddhi was born only I think Riddhi was only 3 weeks old at the time. She was born in California. So of course and there was some other stuff. So nayi gaadi kharidi thi, and we could not afford to sell that car and dobara nahi buy. That was thousands of dollars a loss. So I drove from West Coast to East Coast in that my small little car, and then Sushma and Tej and Riddhi, they basically traveled. They flew.
Yeah. One other thing for everyone. This I picked up on the chats. I think when Mrs. Nagarkar was talking, I think Medha Suri raised not a question, but a suggestion. I think that we could have a book club. And I think so, just to share, Sonam, I think this is something if you would like to carry forward. I think that is one other suggestion which is there. Second, I think Mrs. Bharadwaj may be on the call, or if there are other teachers who are on the call, if we can get them on very quickly, it will be our pleasure. I think that's the second request very quickly from our side.
Yeah, Ma'am Bharadwaj, yeah. Sonam, are you doing something?
Yeah, so whoever wishes to, if any of our teachers are there, they could switch on their videos and I can unmute them.
Yeah, in the meantime, Sudhanshu, maybe you can, of course, we will cut it short as soon as one of our teachers comes online. But in the meantime, talk to me about how you have raised your kids and how it's been that experience of raising kids, how other people, Raists, what they can learn from you, your parenting experience.
This is slightly embarrassing, Kapoor. I think you have two brilliant children. I think
don't downplay it. Being a national champion in swimming and being a top student is nothing to be not proud of. So go ahead.
No, I think one thing which I would say, which applies not only to parenting but also maybe in corporate world, I think is free-spirited parenting, allowing children to do what they want to do, allowing them to fail, allowing them to learn on their own, because I think that is a very important thing. Second thing is quickly changing over the role from being a parent to a friend, and sometimes maybe continuously reversing that, and as they grow older, more like a friend. But then so that is the second thing I would say. And I think the third thing which I would say is I think that sometimes as parents we don't appreciate our children as much as we should do. We need to have the right balance. I think appreciating too much is also wrong, but not appreciating or is not in my book. I wouldn't say it's wrong, but I think not appreciating is also and appreciating for the effort they make. So I think one analogy I would like to leave everyone with in this group is we need to retain as parents the joy when our child took the first steps. याद है जब वो 1 साल के थे, around 1 साल, whenever the people kids start walking, some before 1 year, some after 1 year, but जो पहला step उन्होंने लिया, वो 5 steps जो लिए थे, वो जो पेरेंट्स के लिए जो एक्साइटमेंट और जॉय होता है इन दैट अकम्प्लिशमेंट, I think we need to keep that joy. We can't be analytic. You know, if we analyze that walk, we will say it was not a perfect walk. They were wobbling and they would have fallen down. But we were so glad that they were taking those first steps. I think we need to keep that spirit on in everything which they do and everything new which they do. I think, so that encouragement more than appreciation, I think the word is encouragement. And so that they know that, that we are there. I think that's what I would say.
Yeah. Agree, yeah.
Good.
Sonam, do you have any one of our teachers on?
Or they may have left.
Haven't got requests from any of them.
Okay.
So what we could do, like we do every time, we could have, we can request everybody to switch on their videos and they could probably, chat with you. But before that, a big note of thanks to both of you for being with us today. I think all of us have had a lovely evening. It was really nice to get both of you in the same frame. So thank you once again. And so should we just ask everybody to come online?
Sure. Yeah. Of course, why not?
Request everybody if you could switch on your videos, and I will just give you, you can unmute yourselves also now, and we can just.
Yeah. And thanks, Sonam. Thanks for doing this, and thanks for all the energy you're bringing in the X-Prize group. So keep it up. I think,
Thanks.
Absolutely. Sonam is a rock star. I'm telling you, she is a rock star. She deserves a presidential medal for this. And by the way, I see Narendra Dagar in the screen. Some of you who might not know, Narendra Dagar's daughter, Diksha Dagar, is a professional golfer, and she has won an event as a professional on the European Ladies Tour as an 18-year-old. Great job, Diksha.
Take a bow.
We can have more people switch on their videos. We'll unmute you and you could, speak or whatever you wish to say.
I also see Sudesh. Sudesh was our two batches senior. She was very close. In fact, a sister for Virender Huda, our batchmate. And Sudesh was also our senior at and I see the Sandy the Great, who is I think the two fittest people in our 85 batch right now are Sudhanshu and Samsher. So I see Samsher here. So Samsher, maybe tell us a little bit more about your the biking that you do and all the stuff that you do.
Yeah, Anand is also there. Ravi was there. Ravi Dargan.
Yeah, where is Anand?
Yeah, Anand is there. Ravi is there.
I don't see Anand.
Rupa is there. Kiran is there.
Oh, Ravi. Hi, Ravi.
Yeah, Ravi is also there.
So, Ravi, in fact, in the video that she circulated, there was a picture with me and Ravi playing golf, standing on a golf tee. So that was after 2 years I played golf because I'd been busy doing stuff. But when Ravi came here, I said we gotta go play golf with Ravi. So because he's been visiting us almost every year. Hi, Ravi.
Yeah, I can see Ravi now. Yeah, absolutely. Lovely to see you.
Hi,
Anand.
Hi, Ravi. Hi, Hi, Sudhanshu.
Hi.
And I also see Ajay Dua. So Sudhanshu, if you remember, Ajay Dua, our senior from RC Kurukshetra, and of course from he's real nice, quiet guy, just like you.
Hi. Good.
I see Ravinder Garg, who has in fact Ravinder is a doctor in Panipat, and my sister lives in Panipat. So when I went to Panipat, I saw
Hi, Ravinder.
Ravinder has become all, he's helped her a lot. And Virender Kadian.
Lovely seeing everyone, guys. I think
it was wonderful.
Yeah. Thank you, guys. And 3 cheers for Rai and 3 cheers for 85 man.
Hooray!
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Everybody. Enjoyed the talk.
Bye. Nice listening to you. Thank you so much, Caps. It was really a wonderful program.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you, Sudhanshu. Thank you, Harpreet and Mini. It was amazing. Bye. Nice listening to you. Thank you so much, Caps. It was really wonderful.
वहाँ फंसे थे ना.
Okay.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you, Sudhanshu. Thank you, Harpreet.
Thank you.
And next, Poonam.
What was